Snow for the southeast this weekend. That is what we read tracking. And for those of you from the Carolinas down through Georgia, this is the second January in a row where winter weather is making an appearance in your area. I've been analyzing the latest model runs, the GFS, the Euro, the NAM, and here's what we are looking at. There is disagreement between the models, significant disagreement, but there's also a window of opportunity for accumulating snow across portions of South Carolina, North Carolina, and possibly into Georgia. Let me walk you through what's happening meteorologically. Then we'll break down the regional impacts, and I'll give you the practical information you need if you are in the path of this system. Right now, conditions across the southeast couldn't be more different from what's coming. South Carolina has been dealing with rainy conditions, near record warmth this week. Temperatures running 10 to 15 degrees above normal. That changes dramatically starting Sunday. Across Mississippi, there were tornado warnings this morning. Warm, unstable air mass sitting over the Gulf Coast region. That's the moisture source we rewatching. Compare that to eastern Colorado. Temperatures dropped to 17 degrees this morning. Wind chills down to 5 degrees. That is the Arctic air mass we are talking about. And it is pushing south. The setup is this. Cold air is in place across the interior southeast. A low-pressure system is developing along the Gulf Coast. As that system moves northeast, it is going to interact with the cold air. The question is where that interaction happens and how much cold air remains in place. The GFS model has been showing a more robust snow event, 2 to 4 inches across the South Carolina Midlands, possibly extending into central North Carolina. That's the optimistic scenario for snow lovers in the region. The European model tells a different story. It keeps the heaviest precipitation further east, coastal areas of the Carolinas, less snow inland, more of a mix or rain scenario for the Columbia, South Carolina area. Then there's the NAM model, the North American mesoscale model. It showed what would be a dream scenario for the southeast. Significant snowfall, but here is what you need to understand about the name. It has a tendency to overdo snowfall in the south. We saw this pattern back in the 1980s, big NAM numbers that didn't verify. So while it is showing impressive totals, I am treating that with appropriate skepticism. Model confidence at this range is moderate. We are still 2 days out from the main event. That's enough time for shifts, both positive and negative. Let's talk about what happened last January. Many of you in the Southeast remember this. January 21st and 22nd of 2025, a winter storm brought accumulating snow to parts of South Carolina and North Carolina. Some areas received 6 to 8 inches. The forecast leading up to that event was uncertain. Models showed the system further south at one point, then it tracked back north. The lesson here is that these southeast snow events are notoriously difficult to forecast. Small changes in track make huge differences in who sees snow versus who sees rain. For perspective, go back to January of 2000. Areas north of Raleigh, North Carolina saw close to 2.5 feet of snow. The forecast the night before called for a dusting. That's how quickly these systems can overperform or underperform in the south. The challenge with southern snow forecasting comes down to the marginal temperatures. You are dealing with surface temperatures right around 32 degrees Fahrenheit, that's 0 degrees Celsius. A 1 or 2 degree difference determines whether you get snow or rain. The models struggle with that precision. Another factor is elevation. The mountains always complicate things for South Carolina. Cold air gets trapped in the valleys. Warmer air rides over the top. You can have snow in the upstate while Columbia sees rain, or vice versa. It's terrain dependent. Dynamic cooling also plays a role. If precipitation rates are heavy enough, the atmosphere cools as snow falls. That can pull the snow line further south or to lower elevations than the models initially show. It's a feedback mechanism that is hard to capture in the models. Here is the regional breakdown. And I am going to be honest about the uncertainty in each area, starting with the South Carolina Midlands. Columbia area. Right now, the Euro model shows mostly rain or a rain-snow mix. The GFS shows accumulating snow, 2 to 4 inches possible. The difference comes down to how much cold air remains locked in place. If the system tracks slightly further north, you get more cold air involvement. If it tracks further south or east, you get warmer air and rain. Confidence level for accumulating snow in Columbia is about 50% right now. For the South Carolina upstate, Greenville, Spartanburg area, you have a better chance at seeing snow. Elevation helps. Cold air is more likely to hold on. The models are in better agreement here. 1 to 3 inches is possible, maybe more in the higher elevations. Confidence level is around 65%, North Carolina Piedmont, Greensboro, Winston-Salem area. This is interesting. You read often on the northern edge of these systems. Too far north and you miss the moisture. Right in the path and you can do well. Current model consensus suggests 1 to 3 inches possible, but this is another area where track matters significantly. Raleigh and the Triangle area. You in what I call the perpetual snowline zone, either too far east, too far west, too far north, or too far south. It's frustrating for snow lovers in that area. Right now, models suggest a chance at accumulating snow, 1 to 2 inches possible. But I've seen this movie before in Raleigh, dawn to make firm plans based on snow until we within 12 hours of the event. Charlotte metro area, you are in a similar situation to Columbia. Marginal temperatures, track dependent. Some models show accumulating snow, others show rain. Wait until Saturday evening for more clarity. Coastal areas, Wilmington, Myrtle Beach area. The Euro model has been more bullish on snow for you than inland areas. That's counterintuitive, but it happens sometimes with these systems. If the low pressure develops close enough to the coast and cold air wraps in behind it, you can get surprise accumulation. Don T rule it out, but also Don T count on it. North Georgia, Atlanta metro area. Most models keep you too warm for accumulating snow, maybe some flakes mix in, but measurable snow looks unlikely based on current guidance. The cold air just doesn't extend far enough south and west, South Georgia. This is where it gets interesting. Last year, some of you in the Valdosta area saw snow. Rare event. This year, if the system tracks just right, it's possible again. The moisture is there. The question is the cold air. Long shot, but not impossible. Now let us address the elephant in the room. The forecast could change significantly in either direction. We've seen this pattern before where models show snow, then take it away, then bring it back. It is the nature of forecasting marginal winter weather in the South. What increases confidence for snow? If the high-pressure system over the mid-Atlantic strengthens and positions further south, that locks in cold air. If the low-pressure system develops further north than currently modeled, that brings the precipitation into the cold air. What decreases confidence for snow? If that high pressure weakens or shifts north, warm air infiltrates from the south. If the low pressure tracks further south and east, you are left with cold air but no moisture. The overnight model runs tonight will be critical. The midnight GFS and Euro. Then Friday as daytime runs. By Friday evening, we should have much better clarity on who S in and who S out. Here is what you need to do if you in the potential impact zone. First, check your current supplies. If you in an area that could see accumulating snow, make sure you have the basics. Non-perishable food, water, medications, flashlight, batteries, not because this is going to be a catastrophic event, but because power outages can happen with wet, heavy snow, especially in areas that Don T often see winter weather. Trees aren't adapted to snow load. Power infrastructure isn't built for it. Second, prepare your vehicle. If you must travel during or immediately after the event, make sure you have an ice scraper. Many of you in the Deep South Don T own one. A plastic card works in a pinch. Not ideal, but functional. Have extra blankets in the car, a charged cell phone, some non-perishable snacks. For those in Florida who might see unusually cold weather behind this system, understand that most Floridians Don T own heavy winter coats. That is fine. Multiple thin layers work better than trying to find a parka you'll wear once every 5 years. A long-sleeve shirt, a hoodie, and a light jacket layered together provides good insulation. Third, adjust your travel plans if needed. If you are planning to drive Sunday or Monday in the Carolinas, consider flexibility, not panic. Flexibility. The difference between leaving Saturday instead of Sunday, or Monday afternoon instead of Monday morning. Southern snow tends to melt quickly once the sun comes out and temperatures rise above freezing. For those with elderly family members or neighbors, check in on them. Make sure they have what they need, heating systems functioning properly, sufficient food and medicine. This is especially important in rural areas where getting to the store might be challenging if roads are snow-covered. Now let us talk about what happens after the event. Assuming snow does fall across portions of the southeast, Monday and Tuesday Monday look cold. Temperatures may not rise above freezing in many areas. That means snow sticks around longer than usual. Untreated roads could remain hazardous Monday morning. Schools and businesses may delay opening. If you can work from home Monday, that might be the smart play. The pattern going forward looks favorable for continued cold across the eastern United States. This isn't a one-and-done cold shot. We're looking at a sustained pattern through late January, possibly into early February. That means multiple opportunities for winter weather. There's a potential for another system mid to late next week. Different setup, different track, too early for specifics. But the ingredients are there. Cold air in place, active southern jet stream, moisture available. That's the recipe for winter weather in the south. Some of you are probably wondering about snowfall records. Here is some context. The biggest January snowstorms in South Carolina history include the January 1988 event. Some areas saw over a foot. The storm of 1973, the Valentine's Day weekend storm of 2014. Actually mid-February, but worth mentioning, Columbia saw over 6 inches. These events are rare, but they happen roughly once every few years. The pattern sets up just right. The moisture arrives at the same time as the cold air, and the South gets snow. What this weekend's event is unlikely to be is a record breaker. We're talking about a few inches in the best case scenario for most areas. Not a foot or more, not a multi-day event. A quick hitting system that moves through, drops snow, and exits. But here's why it matters anyway. For kids in the South, snow is magical. It doesn't happen often enough to become routine. A few inches on the ground means snowmen, snow angels, sledding on whatever hill you can find. Those are memories that last. For adults, it's a reminder that winter still exists in the South. In an era where many winters pass without significant snow in the Carolinas, any accumulating snow is noteworthy. Let me address some specific concerns I've been monitoring. South central Wisconsin was seeing rain yesterday morning. Some areas have already transitioned to snow. That's a different system, different pattern, but it shows how quickly conditions can change when Arctic air pushes south. Maryland, I know many of you have been waiting for snow. 2 years without a major storm in some areas. This weekend system won to impact you directly, but the pattern shift is legitimate. Your opportunities are coming, likely late January or early February based on the overall pattern. For those in the Ohio Valley and Tennessee Valley, this particular system doesn't look like much for you. Maybe some flurries on the northern edge, but you are too far north and west for the main precipitation shield. Your next chance comes with the midweek system next week. Let us talk about confidence levels, because I want to be clear about what I know versus what I am uncertain about. The overall pattern is high confidence. Cold air is coming. That S locked in. The moisture is there. That S also certain. What S uncertain is the exact track of the low pressure system and the exact positioning of the cold air boundary. On a scale where I need to assign numbers, I'd say they're S about 70% confidence that someone in the Carolinas sees accumulating snow this weekend. Maybe 60% confidence that it S more than a dusting. Around 40% confidence for Columbia specifically. Higher confidence for the upstate and portions of North Carolina. Those numbers will change. By Friday evening, we'll have better data. By Saturday morning, we'll be within the high-resolution model range. That S when confidence increases significantly. What I am not going to do is promise you snow. I am not going to hype this into something it might not be. But I am also not going to downplay the potential. The setup is there. Now we watch to see if it comes together. One more thing about southern snow. It's often wet and heavy. This isn't the powdery snow you see in the Rockies or the Great Lakes. Southern snow has high moisture content. It packs well for snowballs and snowmen, but it's also harder to shovel. It's heavier, and it brings down tree limbs more easily. That's why power outages are a concern even with modest accumulations. For those of you who've lived in the South your whole lives, you know this. But for transplants from the North, understand that 3 inches of southern snow is different from 3 inches of lake effect snow in Buffalo. Different consistency, different impacts. If you're in an area with hills, be extra cautious about driving. Southern cities have the same level of snow removal equipment as northern cities. Roads may not get treated quickly, and many southern drivers have limited experience driving in snow. Not a criticism, just a reality. When it snows once every couple of years, you don't develop those skills. The safest approach is to stay home if possible. Let the snow fall. Enjoy it. Build a snowman with your kids or grandkids. Take some photos, then wait for it to melt. In the South, that usually happens within 24 to 48 hours. For Sunday specifically, expect conditions to deteriorate through the afternoon and evening across South Carolina. If snow does develop, the heaviest rates will likely be Sunday evening into early Monday morning. That S, based on current timing, could shift earlier or later depending on how fast the system moves. Temperatures Sunday morning start in the low to mid-30s Fahrenheit. That S around 0 to 2 degrees Celsius. As precipitation begins, temperatures will be marginal. You might see rain initially in some areas. Then a transition to snow as precipitation rates increase and dynamic cooling takes effect. By Monday morning, temperatures drop into the mid to upper 20s Fahrenheit, that S-3 to -1 Celsius. Any snow on the ground stays frozen. Roads remain hazardous. Monday afternoon, temperatures may climb above freezing in areas that see sunshine. Southern exposures start to melt. Shaded areas and bridges remain icy. Tuesday continues cold. Another morning in the 20s. Slow improvement through the day as sunshine helps melt remaining snow. Wind is another factor to watch. Behind the system, northwest winds increase. Sustained winds of 10 to 20 miles per hour. Gusts to 30 miles per hour possible. That S roughly 15 to 30 kilometers per hour sustained. Gusts to 50 kilometers per hour. Wind chill values will make it feel colder than the actual air temperature. For livestock and outdoor animals, make sure they have shelter from the wind. Provide extra bedding. Check water sources to ensure they were not frozen. If you have pipes in unheated areas, consider letting faucets drip Sunday night into Monday morning. Prevents freeze damage, small price in water usage compared to repairing burst pipes. This is also a good time to check your heating system if you haven't run it much this winter. Make sure it is functioning properly. Change the filter if needed. You don't want to discover a problem when temperatures are in the 20s. For those with fireplaces or wood stoves, make sure you have adequate dry firewood. Not necessarily because you'll need it for heat, but because there's something satisfying about a fire when it's snowing outside. I want to circle back to the model disagreement one more time, because this is important for understanding the forecast uncertainty. The GFS model has been consistent in showing a snow event for the South Carolina Midlands. Multiple runs in a row, that gives it some credibility. When a model locks onto a solution and maintains it, that suggests confidence in that scenario. The Euro model has been further east and south with the precipitation shield. It's also been consistent, but in a different solution. When you have two reliable models showing different outcomes, it usually means the truth is somewhere in between, or that subtle changes in initial conditions lead to different outcomes. The NAM model has shown the biggest snow totals, but it has a known bias. It tends to overdo snow in the south. I've seen this play out before. The NAM shows 8 inches. You get 3. Still a significant event, but not what the NAM suggested. So I weight the NAM lower than the GFS or Euro for this type of setup. There are ensemble models as well. These run multiple versions with slightly different initial conditions. The ensemble mean and spread give you a sense of the range of possibilities. Right now, ensembles are showing a wide spread. That confirms the uncertainty. Some members show significant snow, others show mostly rain. The ensemble mean splits the difference. What I watch for is convergence. When models start coming together on a solution, when the spread in the ensembles narrows, that's when confidence increases. We're not there yet, but we could be by Friday. Friday's model runs are critical. If the GFS shifts east toward the Euro, that lowers snow chances inland. If the Euro shifts west toward the GFS, that increases snow chances. If both maintain their current solutions, the uncertainty continues, and we make the final call based on Saturday's high-resolution models. Here is something else to consider. Upper-level energy. There are multiple pieces of energy rotating through the flow. How they phase together determines the strength and track of the surface low. If they phase earlier and further north, you get a stronger storm in a better position for Midland snow. If they phase later and further south, the storm stays too far offshore. This is where meteorology becomes as much art as science. Reading the upper-level patterns, understanding how energy transfers from one wave to the next, recognizing which features the models handle well and which they struggle with. After years of forecasting, you develop an intuition about these things. Not magic, just pattern recognition based on experience. My gut feeling, for what it's worth, is that someone in the Carolinas sees meaningful snow from this event. I think the upstate has the best chance. Columbia is on the bubble. Could go either way. Coastal areas are the wild card. If things come together just right, they could overperform, but I've been wrong before. Plenty of times. That's why I rely on data and probabilities rather than gut feelings. The data says this is a low to moderate confidence event with potential for accumulating snow in parts of the southeast. That is the honest assessment. As we head into the weekend, I'll be monitoring the models closely, watching for trends, looking at the short-range high-resolution guidance, the HRRR model, the NAM 3 km. These become useful inside 24 hours. They capture mesoscale features the larger models miss. I'll also be watching radar Saturday night and Sunday, precipitation rates, snow-to-liquid ratios, where the rain-snow line sets up, real-time observations from across the region, that S when forecasting becomes nowcasting, adjusting on the fly based on what S actually happening. For those of you interested in the meteorology, Sunday evening could be a fascinating case study, watching the dynamics unfold, seeing whether the models verified or missed, understanding why it played out the way it did. That is how forecasters improve. Every event is a learning opportunity. One last piece of advice. Enjoy the anticipation. The build-up to a potential snow event in the south is part of the experience. Checking the models, watching the forecasts, hoping your area gets included. It's okay to get excited. Just temper that excitement with the understanding that southern snow is fickle. It might happen, it might not. Either way, spring is coming eventually. For now, we wait. We watch, we see how this plays out. By this time tomorrow, we'll know a lot more. By Saturday evening, the picture should be clear. Sunday, we'll find out if the snow shows up as advertised. Stay tuned for updates. Check official sources like the National Weather Service for warnings and advisories, and stay safe out there. Whether you get snow or not, the cold is coming. Prepare accordingly. That's the analysis for now. More updates to come.